I feel in part like I'm pounding a dead horse here, but when the fetid remains of the equine carcass decides to heave itself onto its haunches and vomit forth the pus-stained truth, we might as well listen, I guess, as the cast members of the Rings of Power have made it absolutely blindingly clear once and for all that they are not trying to make a Lord of the Rings product. They are not trying to bring J.R.R. Tolkien's vision and universe to light. What they are making is a reflection of the world we live in. This is for the new generations, their version of Tolkien. They're telling us this is what they're doing, so why on God's good earth wouldn't we believe them? And hey, I'm preaching to the choir here. I know most of you have already fully understood this, and I myself was very early on saying that what's probably likely to happen here is that Amazon is simply going to want to claim the Lord of the Rings. They're not interested in giving you a Lord of the Rings story or doing anything with J.R.R. Tolkien's universe. They're interested in claiming it and stamping the Amazon logo on as large a portion of it as possible, which is why they only have the rights to the appendices, and yet they're talking about how to make Isildur's fall a heroic thing. Well, first and foremost, you could just literally do what Tolkien did, but, well, that's the thing. They don't actually have the rights to most of that. So what Amazon is going to be doing here is literally fabricating from whole cloth nearly the entire history and origin story of Lord of the Rings, and then smacking an Amazon logo onto it. And of course, the version they are going to be creating is a decidedly diverse, modern, and wokist take on it. This is an interview here with a couple of the actors that we'll be going through just to hammer home the point even more thoroughly. Sophia Nomveti says her character in the upcoming Lord of the Rings series is the face of a necessary redress of balance within the entertainment industry, and my god, I hate this narrative. Maybe, if you were making this argument 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, you'd have a point. But we've been having this redress of power for 2 or 3 decades now. TV shows and movies are insufferably diverse, to the point of many white cats and gingers in particular being blackwashed non-stop. You are not a revolutionary, honey. You are merely another corporate diversity hire, stamped out by the dozens to fill a quota. And that is all you are. I am sorry if that makes you feel bad, but it does appear to be the truth, doesn't it? The British actress said the Amazon series would help create accessibility for generations to come. Accessibility. It is an Amazon Prime TV show. The only thing you need to access it is an Amazon account. They're down there giving those away these days. Accessibility. As if this is some kind of hollowed mountain you need to be hauled up by bearers or something. Not to mention the AR God, I'm not even gonna get into the ridiculous old thing. For years now, this has been over and over again. Oh, black people can't possibly be entertained by something if it isn't filled by people who look like them. It's like, goddamn racist, I swear to God. As for younger viewers, the show would be their first exposure to J.R.R. Tolkien's universe. If you let your child have the Rings of Power as their first experience with Tolkien, I pity your children. I really do. Hit them over the head with the actual book first. A character, Disa, and of course, yeah, right, there's that too. We literally cannot have an article with any of the cast members, or writers for that matter, where they don't get something blatantly wrong. It's in their contract or something. Her character, Disa, is the first female depiction of a dwarf ever shown within the franchise. Wrong! You are an idiot. You haven't paid any goddamn attention at all, because of course, we've already had female dwarves depicted in the Lord of the Rings franchise, in the movies, in The Desolation of Smaug. And may I point out something else, diversity hire? This dwarf has a beard. Because the dwarves and Middle-earth have beards, regardless of their gender, unlike this Baby bottom smooth the pretend dwarf right here. Again, the moment we saw the beardless dwarf, the writing was writ in 10-foot tall letters on the wall. And I love that this is one of their promotional shots too, just to dispel any lingering thought. Because people were looking at like the shadows at the side of the footage with the black dwarfen princess and thinking, oh look, she's got some peach fuzz there, it's totally a beard. Well, there you go, your beard. Obviously. We are redressing the balance within the film and television industry. Yup. You're about 30 years too late for that. You are fighting a cause already won. Fuck off. These are the best people for the roles. Keep telling yourself that. It'll help with the inevitable, well, traumas you'll have to suffer and the psychological damage of eventually realizing you're just somebody hired to fill a quota marker, which must be kind of harsh. But what they've done is open up the doors for people of all backgrounds to come forward and have the opportunity to rise. To be part of creating accessibility for generations to come. Accessibility for new generation. This is their version of Tolkien. This is what my daughter will see of Tolkien's works. I love that too. It's like, what would you show your child first? Well, the TV series I'm in, of course. Well, what's that? Well, it opens up opportunities to rise. So what you're saying is, this is positive discrimination in your favor, and that's why you're happy with it, but you probably wouldn't like it if it happened to anybody else, would you? Oh well. Always bet on the horse named self-interest, I suppose. It is their time, and God, this reads like some goddamn, like, This reads like something written by someone who's actually had a problem in their life. You know? Oh, liberation is just around the corner. Oh my god, we're finally going to have an opportunity instead of a fat British woman who is acting in one of the most expensive TV shows in the history of the human race. She continued, this is a reflection of the world we live in. And again, see, I was about to say, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about in this video, right? And I was thinking this is the misconception. This is the fundamental misunderstanding. But of course it isn't. It isn't a misunderstanding. Or well, maybe it is for her, but this is not a misunderstanding for the writers or for Amazon. This is a reflection of the world we live in. That is correct. You are not recreating Tolkien's work. You are not telling the story of a fantasy universe, an incredibly rich and detailed one. You are forcing the modern world into something that is, for all intents and purposes, immortal. There is no reason to believe that in 200 years' time, 300 years' time, The Lord of the Rings will somehow be outdated. People read it and go, well, this doesn't make any sense from our modern day perspective. It is a simple story of evil versus good. It is black versus white. It is a timeless story. I mean, hell, we are still repeating the Odyssey to this day. There are stories that have intrinsic value, regardless of the civilization in which it is told. And I firmly do believe that Lord of the Rings is one of these tales. Modernizing it only diminishes it. That is the only thing it does, because it is the only thing you can do. There are many and we are different, and we will embrace and discover and yada 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 yada, buzzword, 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 none of which means a goddamn singular solitary thing. Learn and educate and be educated, Miss First Female Dwarf ever depicted in the Lord of the Rings franchise. And we can only do that when we embrace and love our differences, yada 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 yada. So that image of Disa, that is all these things personified in face, and it just so happens to be my face. Weird. Weird how that seems to be such a positive. It is retarded. And what is it to her? To be the poster child and to fly its flag, being a mother, being a woman, being a person of color, being a curvaceous woman deems a thing of beauty. I am sorry to all the fat people out there. I'm not a skinny guy myself. I got far too much of a punch on me to claim that, but You are not curvaceous, you are fat. It's like, just face the facts. It's not that hard. Trust me. It's actually kind of liberating when you just accept it. Puerto Rican actor Ismael Cruz Cordova, who plays the Black Elf, said the awareness of that has grown. The cinematic world that Peter Jackson created has immense value. In fact, I would say that it is almost as immortal as the books themselves, because whilst it was not perfect, it does have a tremendous amount of respect for the source material, and I'll guarantee you this as well. By the time the Rings of Power is long gone and forgotten, the Peter Jackson movies will still be around. But we shifted the lens since then. Yes, again, Peter Jackson went out of his way, and what was that thing he said to the cast and crew members? This is not our story, this is J.R.R. Tolkien's story. We are making a Lord of the Rings story, and we shall put as little of ourselves in it as possible. We have shifted the lens since then. I love the fact that they think this is a positive. The conversation is different right now. You're making a fantasy television show, my dude. You are not having an important conversation. You are not. You are a diversity hire made to make a fantasy TV show. And if you could just accept that, we would all be much, much happier. It is a diverse mix, and now we're just adding people from diverse backgrounds. Again, the horse cannot shut up, can it? Directly from the equine orifice itself, again and again, we are just adding people from diverse backgrounds now. Checklist. Let's see here. Brown, check. Asian, check. Curvaceous, check. I would feel bad being this blatantly it is not. How do I put this in a not horrible fashion? Don't know if I can. I would feel bad knowing that I was a diversity hire for absolutely certain. You probably pissed me off. It probably hurt my pride a little bit, to be honest, and probably get me to quit right then and there. Oh, you hired me because of my skin color. Well, I mean, it's a paycheck, but it's not really a worthwhile one now, is it, necessarily? Cynthia Arai-Robinson, who plays Miriel, added, "This cast is truly global," because that's a value in and of itself. Everyone sort of has their frame of reference in terms of culture, their heritage, what it means to them, their language. Yeah, we'll just wrap it up there. You get the gist. This is not... Hiccups, excuse me. This is not the Lord of the Rings. It was never intended to be the Lord of the Rings. It is Amazon's diverse fantasy romp adventure, featuring Lord of the Rings character, mildly inspired, maybe, possibly, kinda, by some dead British dude who no one really knows apparently around the set here, starring the first female dwarf ever in aforementioned franchise, which we didn't bother looking into much, and hey, I can kind of understand pretending that the Hobbit movies didn't exist, but I gotta defend the desolation of Smaug at least, because hey, it was basically just a 3-hour-long battle scene. And that has some value in and of itself. Watching retarded CGI characters bash each other over the head is probably more, it probably adds more value to the cinematic universe than anything the Rings of Power is likely to do. Well, I guess there we have it, once again. If at any point in the future Amazon tries to pretend, or anyone tries to tell you that they're actually trying to make Lord of the Rings, and they're hiring all kinds of experts, etc., just show them this, and you'll get it directly from the actors themselves confirming that no, they do not give two shits about the franchise, what they're adapting, or loosely basing their supposed story upon. Hardly a surprise, but hard evidence is always nice, isn't it? Until next time, I've been Arch, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.